Hey guys, what's up? I'm really happy to come again with the tutorials.
Alright, stop what you're doing, cause I'm about to ruin it.
And stop what you're doing because we are about to ruin it. And I had this brilliant idea. Okay, it's not brilliant, but I have to say it's brilliant because it's like this. As you well know, I've opened a studio and I have this idea. Why not making some TP used in production series tutorials in my free time? Of course, I had a year where 8 months of where we made all these projects over here. But let's say for my first tutorial, I chose this project over here. I can say that I use TP on the water for simulating this water over here, and it's a really small detail. And then over here with the balls falling down, well, it's really simple setup, and but I wanted to share with you because sometimes we underestimate the power of TP. Well, I've made all these setups in really fast, like hours, and it solved these problems of the water and this and the particles in the end. So I use TP. So these little particles over here on the text, blah blah blah. Super simple, but let's start the tutorial. And of course, my next tutorials, I hope to have some free time. When I have it, it will be, for instance, on this one. I made like 15 layers of TP over here with the lines growing, the tips glowing, the construction of the logos. If you look at the logo, you don't see it, but you can feel it. It's so fast. But I will share with you some techniques used on several projects. Let's see. So this is it. The first tutorial, it will be for this simple simulation, and then I can share how to make the flock of birds. And sometimes you see it and it's super simple, but I created some rules to avoid some mesh over here, and then I made the behavior of the smoke we have over here and the clouds and so on. So let's start. For this first tutorial, it will be really simple, and I've decided to make from scratch. So I have the Alembic files from we are using Maya for the animation. So these are all Alembic files, and the soccer balls and the basketball balls, they are animated in 3D Studio Max. So they are just with simple animation following the robots, but then nothing happens. Okay, and uh, let's start it from the scratch. TP, nothing on it. So first thing that I want to tell you, uh, let's create over here some dynamic sets, and here the system will be active, inactive. So each user uses its own kind of structure. I'm just sharing the one that I use, and sometimes I modify some stuff. But so we are going to create particles, we have to make dynamics, and it could be rules, then we have to have a solver, and then we are going to export everything. So just for fun, the first thing, instead of doing this all the time, all the stuff, you can just save this to your Dropbox or somewhere you can easily go, and save it as a as a file. So let's for instance, the next time I open TP, so let's remove this. I just go here, open initial setup, and it will be so you don't have to write it down each time. And you can make a setup for collisions, a setup for liquids, a setup for anything that you are using a lot of times. Okay, cool. So this is it. We are going to create a particle, so we analyze the problem. Okay, we have some balls that have to become to have physics, collisions, and so on. So I'm going to use bullet solver over here to be faster, and for this it works really good. So bullet physics over here, I'm going to create first I will create the collisions. So let's do it. For a beginner, you go here, operators, generator, object to particle. Okay, but many times you can just use the tab, and you know that you are going to create an object to particle, and then you click it on it. So some tips over here. Let's pick it up the robot. Okay, so this polysurface will go to the group collisions 1. I will explain you later why I've done like this. Okay, so when you make this, you turn this polysurface or this mesh over here to a particle, object to particle, and then you have to use instance shape, so it keeps the animation from the Alembic files or the animation from 3D Studio Max, and then I usually hide it. Of course, when you scrub it, it appears again because now we are seeing what's in TP. So, and it's this mesh that is on group collision 1 over the collisions, and it's instance shape, so it remains the animation, and it's hidden, so we only see the TP. Cool. So here on the bullet physics, you can't forget that the collisions will be here. So this, all the meshes that are inside this group will be as deflectors, and then you have to define the active group. So that will be the balls, and we have to define that rule. Okay, so I'm going to create, we can shift copy, shift press and duplicate it, or again a tab, object to particle, and I'm going to choose the balls. Okay, so this so sometimes I do like this, I select them here on 3D Studio Max, then I'm going to pick, well, I can choose from this. I could have a selection set over here, so let's make like that. So this is a production tutorial, so I have this, when I want to pick, instead of picking, imagine we have 100 balls over here. Okay, I make a selection set over here, and of course when I go here and pick the balls, I go here on the selection sets, and automatically it picks, and you see over here updated. Okay, so of course I have to define where they are going, and instead of clicking on single ones and making, I will one by one, I will just press here, changes effect all, and the changes I make on this one will reflect on all the other stuff. So object to particle, I'm going to say they are inactive for now, so they are going to this group over here, and again instance shape, so they can keep their animation on 3D Studio Max, and hide them. Cool. So if I scrub, they will appear because now they are particles in TP. And of course nothing happens because I didn't define the rules yet. Cool. So well, if you want, maybe you should rename this so you can easily understand what you are doing. So I'm going to make ObjToParticle robot call 1, for instance. And well, here I'm going ObjToParticle, and then oops, sorry, I'm a little bit sleepy. Oops, enable, rename it. Sorry, and basketball. Okay, cool. So let's define the rules. On the dynamic set, we are going to say what? That these balls over here that are in the group inactive, okay, will be inside the group active. So here, oops, sorry, not like this, like this. You go to the group, and if you connect them to this with this and say active, they will go to the active group in the beginning of the animation, and you just want them to go at frame 11. Well, this is easy because I want them to start the physics and the animation when the robots get scared with the helicopter over here, and that is on frame 11. So I will go to the conditions and say this will be on frame 11 and until the end of time. Okay, so basically I'm saying inactive, go to the group active at frame 11. That's simple. Okay, so they will remain with the animation. And just have to check it over here. Instance shape, yes. Okay, and now I have to say the active group will be a rigid body. Okay, cool. And here, if I didn't have this solver here, this will not be working, okay, because here when I try to find the solver, it will have none, but of course I have created already, so it finds it. So the shape of the mesh, so the shape of my basketballs, instead of computing mesh convex hull, it's a little bit slower because it will analyze all the mesh. I can make a sphere, and this will be much faster. So, and I have to make some rules on the active. I want them to fall down. So force, of course I could go here on the operators, dynamics, force. Okay, I'm just going a little bit faster with the shortcuts. And a force of, let's start with this force, and we have to define the direction. Helpers math 0.3 and connect to direction. Okay, since we are using negative values, I will put here positive z, or I can put -1 and then the force positive. Well, it's up to you what you want to do. And okay, we have our first and you see the velocity, it's really fast. I can see in almost real time. I'm using, of course, the lower subsampling for now. In the end, I think I will have to go a little bit upper so we can have proper collisions with the robot and all the stuff. But for now, okay, it's working, it's colliding, and it's falling. Cool. So now we have here a problem. They are intercepting the ground, and that's why, because we didn't make the rules here on the floor node. So BulletPhysics has this floor node. Simple, you can add a node again, if you want to go to the helper standard node, or you just can go like a shortcut and write node. Cool. And then you connect it over here and you choose the ground. Cool. That's simple. And now we can see it will collide. Let's see if it collides, and if, okay, it's colliding already. Oh my god, so simple and fast. So let me just save, and while we wait for the saving, I will share some stuff for the you are trying to learn. So there is this cool effectivetds.com forum, and you have a lot of stuff on thinkingParticles. So okay, the sponsored moment is finished, and it was not sponsored, but okay. And that's it. So we have here the basic rules and it's working, but you notice that the balls are not bouncing, right? And sometimes the people on the forum and Facebook and so on, they say, oh, this bullet physics doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes you have to read the manuals, okay? So it's not bouncing because you have to make it, you have to change some setup. For now, they are kind of, it seems that that has a lot of friction, but no. How to control the bounciness of these balls? Okay, so I don't know how, but I know that we have some here, restitution, friction, rolling friction, the margin, and of course we have to know what this value means. And let's see. Each time I have a doubt or I want to learn a little bit, let me just open thinkingParticles manual. Oh, sorry, I have to update here. Okay, and open the manual of TP. Cool. So here, rigid bodies, right? Let me just say rigid body, blah blah blah. Where is it? Here. Okay, cool. So we have here the restitution. What does it mean? Use this parameter to control the bounce value between the particles. Okay, so it's not having bounce because if we go to here, sorry, and the restitution is 0, and here it's 0, so of course we don't have bounciness. So let's give it a try. One over here, I don't know the values, but let's start with these values over here and see what happens. Bang! Oh my god, we have bounciness. Oh my god, bullet physics is not so bad. It has bounciness. So this is it. Of course, let me just make a quick preview over here. Okay. Okay. So let's see. Because sometimes with the more complex setup, sometimes we have to make previews to see it 25 frames per second. Okay, so what we can see over here is that the balls are a little bit slower. They are falling down a not so realistic way. So that's my force. And of course, we can make a lot of tweakings on the values of the. And if you can see, that's something that happened in this project, and this is a tutorial in production, so you can see what happens in production. They are not intersecting, so I have here the robot, but we have the hands of the robot, and they are not included on this collision. That's why they are not colliding with the hands. I think we can see over here the ball interpenetrating the hands. I don't know. Well, but we can add that. So, and now this was something that happened to me, and in this specific project, if I added all the hands and all the robots in one single group. So if I pick the hands over here and say they are going to group collision 1, object instance shape and height, let me just check it. Yeah, we lost the hands animation. So I could report to Cebas, I could try to solve, but I have one day to make this, or not one day, some hours, and I've tried many things. I've tried layer to particle, but I found another solution. So if I create remove selected, so if I create another one, and that's why this is cool to share with you, some solutions you find in production, of course. This doesn't happen a lot, but when it happens, you have to solve it quick. So we have the poly surface, and here we remove selected. So we have the two creations, two separate things, and let me just check it over here. Okay, now you see that they are animated. I don't know why this happened, but I had to create a lot of this to keep the alembic animation. Maybe I'm not expert in alembic format and so on, so this was one of the solutions that I found and it worked. Okay, so this is it. Let me just check it, and now of course you can see that the hands are colliding with the balls. So I should say that maybe the force is too little, so let's make it stronger, and I make a little variation, and you say, oh, but the gravity is equal to each object. Well, but I like to make, because it was like, if it's something to be not everything so linear, one object has more friction than the other, and the hand hits in the ball with another force and so on. So I tend to use some little variation on the gravity to simulate different weights and so on, and friction, blah blah blah. Okay, so this is it. We have on the frame 11. Another thing that you notice, the balls are going up. And they are going to the side, and that's why. That's another great thing that you have to learn when using the bullet physics. It's the margins. And again, let's go to the manual. Margins defines a collision offset for the rigid body simulation for this specific particle. Okay, so basically in frame 11 they go to active and they bang in each other, and the margins are a little bit higher than they should, so they boom go to the side, go to the up, and so on. So you have to go to this and change the margin. Let me just check. I have here the margins that I've used, so I don't need to make such a quick setup. Not a quick setup. If I don't have these values, I have to make some tests. Okay, I have to change the margin and then make a preview and so on. So the final values that I found to be stable and were like this. Okay, so the margins are very important for this kind of simulations. And the friction, I don't want much friction, and of course I have to go to the bullet physics and check the margins on the bullet physics also, and the values that I found for this was like this, and the friction 0.1. Okay, and another thing that is very important, it's this value over here. Let's see bullet physics. Okay, bullet physics operator, blah blah. Okay, here it is. So let's see this value, because I'm sharing the values that are most important when you are doing some setups with collisions and using BulletPhysics. So this one is really important. And let's see where it is. So iteration, okay, here, this is really important. So what I found, if you read what it does, you many times you have to change these values to get the good result that you are looking for, and you have to change it per project. So that's it. I'm going to just make a preview so we can see if it's better than the older one. So if you remember, play this one, they were going a little slow, they are going to this side, and well, not so realistic. Now let's see the new one. Let's create a preview. Okay, they are falling down. Of course, we have the margin with the ground. We have to check that. Okay, and we want the cartoon stuff. And oh, one thing that we are noticing is that the balls are not spinning, they are just falling. Okay, so let's just make on our rules, the active rules, let's make a spin over here, and let's check the value. I don't know if I have this value over here. Let me just I don't have it. Okay, so we have to check it. Let's make it a variation of 25%, and let's see. Now I'm going to make a preview again, and that's it. This is, I think, one cool tutorial so you can understand. So now we are going to check the spinning of the balls, and I'm not going to finish it up, but I think you understood, because now it's simple. It's, if you have the rules created, you just need to add the other balls. So if I wanted the other balls to, it's just, let me just make a quick selection set over here. So soccer balls, for instance. Okay, and select similar, and volley balls. Okay, and I'm going to pick them up over here. I'm going to the selection sets, and soccer balls, pick, and pick again, and go to the volleyballs. Okay, so pick, and of course now you see that the rules that we've defined for the basketballs, we have to make it again for the other ones, but changes affect all. They are going to the inactive group, they are going to become particles, instance shapes to keep the animation, and hide them. Okay, cool. So let's just, okay, so now they are inside the rules. I'm going to make a preview, and of course they will not interact with the robots, because the other robots are not inside the rules. But you see how does this work, and I have, of course, now you will see this is cool to happen, because this is mainly because I have lower samples on the simulation, and we have these errors, and maybe I have here something on this robot on the Alembic, but I don't think so. I just think it, oh, it's not like that. I didn't add this one, I didn't select it. So cool. This is, let me just copy this and pick and paste it over here. Oops, sorry. Oh, this is just one ball, right? So I can pick it up over here and make it again the rule to go to the inactive group, object to particle. This is really fun because this is what happens in production environments. I forgot to pick that ball, and I thought it was an error, but it was not. It was my mistake. Human error. So cool. This is it. Now we have the setup, and I'm not going to add the other stuff, the other collisions, but I think you understood the process. And now we have this, and of course we can change the bounciness and so on, but let's keep it like this and let's export it. And it's really simple. You just have to make operators. Again, it's on the export, Alembic export, and you only want to export the active stuff. So active, add, and you say I want to export this as an object per group, single file. Okay, and that's it. Let me just check it. I'm going to put it on my desktop tutorial and blah blah blah. Okay, cool, and export. Boom. And you see that I made this tutorial, I don't know in how much time, I'm not checking that out, but it's really fast from the scratch. And this is it. TP is really, really, really great. I love it. Well, it's because of TP that I keep 3D Studio Max, to be honest. But so let me just save this and just check if I made everything right. I'm going to save, and then I'm going to open or make a new project. Let's just check this, and while we are waiting, I will share another thing that you have to check it. So TP Mayhem made by Joe Scar. Well, I've helped a little bit, just a little bit, to make the organization and the tutorials over here, but well, this is Joe Scar, great work for the community, really awesome. And for instance, if you go here, well, you have specific information. Maybe we can, well, we can make it even better. You have tutorials specific. I've started to make this, but I didn't finish. I think it should be more complete. But you can go by author. And here you have a collection of tutorials really, really great for TP. And I don't know if Joskar added this one, and this one is so cool that I've started to see the other day, and to understand better scripting and mathematics and so on. Really cool. So I think it's already saved. Yes. Reset. Yes. Okay. And I'm going to import just the Alembic that I've saved just to check if everything is okay. So blah blah blah. Okay. Let me just check it. Okay, there they are. Of course. Okay, so maybe I've exported just some frames, but yes, it's working. And then we import to the scene, and that's it. The first tutorial used in production. The other ones, I think, let me just check it over here. So my next one will be the water, because I noticed in Facebook they want something about water in TP. Well, this is a really simple setup. so it's not to be seen in such a detail, but we have the water splash, the ripples, and so on, so it's really cool. And that's it, guys. Hope to see you soon. I don't know when, but I will try to make it another tutorial soon. So thank you so much. Bye bye.